Hello, 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 everybody. Max, November 4, Mike Lima here. I got a new call sign, if that's throwing you off. But today is a World Radio League feature release day, so we have a couple new things to show off to you. Some enhancements to some older features, a hard launch of a new feature, a ton of bug fixes to just quickly talk about on the site, and you should go on and check out everything we've been doing. So the first thing is that new feature. We soft launched it last week, and now it's hard launched after some great user feedback from you guys on the forums, and that's our spotting UI. So what you can do is you can filter by band, by mode, and you can see people that are on the air right now. And right now, we're pulling from two major sources. We're pulling from you guys, all of our contacts that we make on the site, to see that data. And we're also pulling from the Parks on the Air API, so we can see all the Parks on the Air sites, since that's a very popular uh, event that people do, including myself, right? Whether we're hunting or activating. So what I can do is, as you can kind of see, you have a nice map view, so you can see just at a glance what countries are on the air or what states, what regions. And then you can also see in a grid view or in a table view that same information. And then you get all the data you might want, right? So if it's a Parks on the Air spot, like this one, you see it's you get the park number, you get a call out that it's a POTA site, where they are. So this is actually in Alabama, the park they're at, and then the last spot comment, right? Same thing with this one, and we pull all the data from the POTA API, so it's going to be exactly as it would look if you went to POTA.app. And as you can see, it updates basically once a minute, so you'll get those updates pretty quickly. And then another thing you can do, I'll just go ahead and filter for it, is just contacts that are being made on the World Radio League. So these will be stuff outside of kind of POTA, right? So if you're looking for more, like maybe somebody calling CQ or maybe somebody that's worked somebody, you can see all that here, right? So you can see that that this guy was on in Ohio. He's not a user, but he was spotted by this guy, Steve Miller, who is a user, and so on and so forth. And again, this just refreshes every minute. So this is a great place to check for propagation, too, on certain bands. So I can see that this guy in Bulgaria was spotted by a user in Tennessee. So being in Alabama, being right around the same longitude, that means I could probably work this guy if I turned on my radio. You can also filter by band as well, by mode specifically. So, like, for instance, there's nobody doing any D-Star right now, I do not think. So I can filter by that, and then it'll show that there's nobody doing D-Star right now. So that's spotting. Go check it out. Go have fun with it, and have it help your operating. So moving into some of the logbook fixes, I'll actually go to that by showing off another cool feature of the spotting view, and that's if I see somebody who I want to work, I can obviously work them and then respot them, right? Which, puts their data back up and shows that they're still on the air. But I can also copy all that data to a log, and then I can put it into any one of my logbooks, right? And then it automatically fills in, their call sign, the frequency that they're on, which will automatically fill in the band, the mode. It'll show their country, their state, and then it'll do everything else your log wants to do. But showing off some of the new log features is your grid location now persists, right? And you'll get a note about that. So I'm in EM64, but if I was operating a park and I was in EN73, I could set that grid location and it'll update and it'll persist. This is coming, kind of ahead of logbook templates, which will make this process a little bit easier. But just for now, for those of you guys that are using it for parks on the air or just using it in other locations outside of your home, this will make it nice and easy to set a different grid location and actually have it persist. One of the other new enhancements here as well is if you go to your profile or go to a logbook with a lot of contacts, you'll notice that the map icons are now 50% smaller. And this is just because, as people were starting to fill in their log with a lot of contacts, especially if you have a lot of domestic contacts, this view was starting to get a little cluttered. So we just shrank it down and just made it a little bit easier to look at. Your logbooks as well, and even on your own homepage as well, you can now sort by ascending or descending date, right? So if I wanted to show my oldest contacts or my newest contacts, I can do that here. And so that's a nice way of doing that. Yeah, other enhancements. I mean, so all the spotting stuff I talked about, it might sound a little bit different than what you saw when it came about on launch, but that's just from a lot of small enhancements we had made. And also, there's other various graphical enhancements, the way things click through, etc., that have been enhanced as well, that you'll kind of notice as you use them. Also, with the logbook as well, going back to that real quick, is when you log a contact, you can now, once you have all the information in, let's see, I sent a 55 here, you can now press the enter key, and it'll log the contact. So if you're doing a lot of logging on the fly, you can go, call sign, tab, 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 enter, as opposed to going, tabbing through and then moving your hand to your mouse to hit that log contact button. So that should be a great fix for a great enhancement rather for a lot of you guys. So moving into some of the bug fixes. So with that new grid location change, we also changed how we pull the location data for our visualization. So it'll pull from your logs first, assuming you have that data inputted. So you'll be able to, show this type of view, right? So I put in a grid that I'm not in, EN73, for this grid, and then this grid location is the same, but now it shows me being in EN73 as opposed to being in EM64, So it pulls from the logbook now as opposed to your own personal data. So, for POTA visualization or just for general quality of life stuff for different logs, that'll be good for a lot of you guys. The date and time are more in sync with UTC as well. This isn't really something specific that I can show off right now because it's still the same UTC day for me. But as you kind of get to that period where the UTC day is one day ahead of you, our site will prioritize being in sync with UTC as opposed to being in sync with your system calendar. So if you've been logging contacts at 11 p.m. Eastern and then them logging as the same day that you're on as opposed to the next day UTC, that's now fixed for you guys. And yeah, that's really it for this week's release. So yeah, go play with the spotting, go play with a lot of these enhancements. Your graphical visualizations should look a lot nicer, and they'll actually be accurate if you've been inputting in different grids. The only other things to kind of call out to is we fixed how we treated the band column, both in our ADIF export, which we've done a complete overhaul of, so give that a check if you've been using that. We've added basically all the fields we actually store, as opposed to just the fields that one might want. We've merged all the band fields as well for our analytics, so you might remember if you had 10M in an ADIF field and 10 in an ADIF field, you would get two of those on your QSOs by band breakdown. That's fixed now. And then a feature that we're working on, it's kind of in a soft push to production now, but we'll get kind of a hard, solid fix on by the next release, is we're changing also how we do our automatic frequency selection too. So let's say I worked this guy on FT4 on 10 meter. Sometimes it'll actually fill in with FT4. So this is still kind of an in-progress thing, but keep on the lookout for that. And yeah, that's it. So new features about. Go have fun with them, and that's all. 73. This has been Max for the World Radio League.